Welcome to an in-depth examination of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, a transformative global framework designed to steer humanity toward a more equitable, inclusive, and environmentally sustainable future. I Harshit Simha, your host, once again diving to a new topic on United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, core principles and dimensions. This presentation embarks on a critical exploration of the core principles that ground the SDGs, delving into their holistic and integrative approach to addressing complex and interrelated global challenges such as poverty, inequality, climate change, and sustainable economic growth. We will trace the historical evolution of the SDGs, from their roots in the Millennium Development Goals to their adoption in the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, highlighting the global consensus that shaped their creation. Through this lens, we will assess the strategies deployed by nations and institutions to implement these goals and examine the mechanisms for monitoring progress and ensuring accountability. Furthermore, we will explore the intricate interdependencies among the 17 goals, illustrating how advancement in one area can catalyze positive outcomes in others. While notable strides have been made in various domains, significant gaps and persistent inequalities remind us of the urgent work still required to realize the full potential of this global agenda. As we journey through this analysis, you are invited to reflect on the SDGs not merely as policy objectives, but as a collective call to action, an aspirational roadmap for transforming our world. Together, let us uncover how these goals offer both a challenge and an opportunity to foster a resilient, just, and sustainable future for all people and the planet. Slide 2. The Genesis of Sustainable Development Goals. The genesis of the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, reflects a progressive evolution of international efforts to address global environmental and developmental challenges. The journey began in 1972 with the Stockholm Conference, the first major international forum focused on human impacts on the environment. This pivotal event marked the start of formal global environmental discourse. In 1987, the Brundtland Report, officially titled Our Common Future, introduced the concept of sustainable development, defining it as development that meets present needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet theirs. This report elevated sustainable development to the forefront of global policy dialogue. By 2000, the international community adopted the Millennium Development Goals, MDGs, comprising 8 goals aimed primarily at eradicating poverty and improving development outcomes in low-income countries. While the MDGs helped mobilize global efforts, they were limited in scope and criticized for excluding environmental sustainability and the interests of broader stakeholders. In 2015, building upon lessons from the MDGs, all 193 UN member states unanimously adopted the Sustainable Development Goals, a comprehensive framework of 17 goals and 169 targets designed to balance social, economic, and environmental sustainability with universal applicability. The SDGs emerged from extensive international cooperation and consultations, including governments, civil society, academia, and ordinary citizens. They represent a more inclusive and integrated vision for development, addressing interconnected issues such as climate change, gender equality, economic growth, and peace. Thus, the SDGs mark a critical evolution in the global development agenda, aimed at achieving a just, equitable, and sustainable future for all. Slide 3. The 5 Core Principles, the 5 Ps Framework. The journey began in 1972 with the Stockholm Conference, the first major international forum focused on human impacts on the environment, people, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnership. This framework encapsulates the holistic and integrated nature of sustainable development, emphasizing the interconnectedness of global priorities and the need for collaborative, multidimensional solutions. People lies at the heart of the SDGs, with a focus on ending poverty and hunger in all their forms while upholding dignity, equality, and basic human rights. It emphasizes inclusive development that leaves no one behind. Planet highlights the urgency of safeguarding Earth's natural systems. It calls for the responsible use and protection of natural resources and climate resilience to secure a sustainable future for generations to come. Prosperity aims to ensure that all people enjoy prosperous and fulfilling lives. It advocates for economic growth that is inclusive and harmonious with nature, recognizing that true progress must be both equitable and ecologically sound. Peace underscores the importance of fostering just, inclusive, and peaceful societies. Development cannot be sustained without addressing conflict, injustice, and insecurity. Partnership serves as the enabler of the entire agenda, calling for a revitalized global collaboration among governments, private sectors, civil society, and citizens. It stresses shared responsibility and collective action at all levels. Together, the 5 Ps provide a strategic and ethical foundation for the SDGs, reinforcing the idea that meaningful change requires integrated approaches rather than isolated interventions. They remind us that sustainable development is a shared journey that demands global unity, equity, and resilience. Slide 4. The 17 Sustainable Development Goals. The 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, constitute a universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure peace and prosperity for all by 2030. These goals form the backbone of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, offering a holistic framework that integrates economic growth, social inclusion, and environmental protection. Each SDG is accompanied by specific targets, 169 in total, and measurable indicators, 232, to monitor progress and ensure accountability. What distinguishes the SDGs is their universality. They are applicable to all countries, regardless of income level, while recognizing the need to tailor approaches to national contexts, capacities, and development stages. The goals address a broad spectrum of global challenges. These include eradicating poverty and hunger, ensuring access to quality education, promoting gender equality, securing clean water and sanitation, advancing affordable and clean energy, and tackling climate change. Other goals focus on promoting decent work, fostering innovation, reducing inequalities, and building sustainable cities and communities. The SDGs emphasize interconnectedness, where progress in one goal often reinforces progress in others. For example, improvements in health, Goal 3, support educational outcomes, Goal 4, while clean energy, Goal 7, contributes to climate action, Goal 13. By encouraging both developed and developing nations to take responsibility within their capabilities, the SDGs promote a shared vision of global progress. They reflect a commitment to collaborative action, leaving no one behind in the pursuit of a just, inclusive, and sustainable world. Slide 5. Social Dimension. Addressing Human Needs. The social dimension of sustainable development focuses on addressing fundamental human needs, recognizing that inclusive, equitable societies are central to achieving long-term sustainability. This dimension underscores the importance of eradicating poverty, reducing hunger, improving health outcomes, and ensuring access to quality education as foundational elements of a just society. SDG 1, End Poverty, aims to eliminate extreme poverty and implement robust social protection systems, ensuring equal access to economic opportunities. It acknowledges poverty as a multidimensional issue that requires comprehensive policy responses. SDG 2, Zero Hunger, targets the elimination of hunger by promoting food security, enhancing nutrition, and advancing sustainable agricultural practices. It emphasizes the need for resilient food systems that can nourish growing populations while protecting the environment. SDGs 3, Good Health and Well-being, focuses on reducing maternal and child mortality, combating communicable and non-communicable diseases, and strengthening health systems. Health is both an outcome and a driver of sustainable development, enabling people to contribute meaningfully to society. SDG 4, Quality Education, seeks to provide inclusive and equitable education at all levels, ensuring lifelong learning opportunities for all. Education empowers individuals, fosters innovation, and serves as a key tool for breaking the cycle of poverty. Together, these goals emphasize the importance of social sustainability, which requires inclusive policies that improve quality of life and reduce inequalities. By investing in people, particularly the most vulnerable, the social dimension helps build resilient, empowered communities where all individuals can live with dignity, equality, and opportunity. Slide 6. The Economic Dimension. Promoting inclusive growth. The economic dimension of sustainable development is centered on fostering inclusive and sustained economic growth that benefits all segments of society. Rather than relying solely on traditional growth metrics, this approach prioritizes equity, resilience, and opportunity, aligning with key SDGs such as Goal 8, Decent Work and Economic Growth, and Goal 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. At its foundation, economic growth involves boosting innovation and productivity, which are essential for long-term prosperity. However, growth alone is insufficient. For development to be truly sustainable, it must be accompanied by the creation of decent work opportunities. This includes ensuring fair wages, job security, and labor rights protections to enhance the dignity and stability of employment. Infrastructure development plays a pivotal role in supporting economic activities by creating resilient systems, such as transport, energy, and communication networks, that enable businesses to thrive and communities to connect. Without robust infrastructure, economic potential remains limited and unevenly distributed. At the top of the pyramid is equitable distribution, which ensures that the benefits of growth are shared fairly across all social groups, particularly marginalized populations. This principle guards against widening inequalities and fosters social cohesion. By promoting a model of development that is both inclusive and sustainable, the economic dimension seeks to generate prosperity while reducing disparities, preserving environmental resources, and enhancing quality of life. It supports systems that are diverse, resilient, and regenerative, ensuring that economic advancement is not achieved at the cost of social or ecological well-being. Slide 7. The environmental dimension, promoting our planet. The environmental dimension of sustainable development is crucial to ensuring the long-term viability of life on Earth. It emphasizes the responsible stewardship of natural resources and the protection of ecosystems, which are fundamental to human well-being and economic prosperity. This dimension supports the integration of ecological integrity into all areas of development planning. A key component is sustainable water management, SDGs 6 and 14, which focuses on providing clean water and sanitation while safeguarding aquatic ecosystems. Access to clean water is not only a basic human right but also essential for health, agriculture, and industry. Terrestrial ecosystem protection, SDG 15, aims to halt deforestation, combat desertification, and preserve biodiversity. Healthy land-based ecosystems are vital for regulating the climate, maintaining soil fertility, and supporting livelihoods. The clean energy transition, SDG 7, plays a pivotal role in reducing environmental degradation. By shifting to renewable energy sources and improving energy efficiency, societies can reduce dependence on fossil fuels, thereby minimizing air pollution and greenhouse gas emissions. Climate action, SDG 13, addresses the urgent need to reduce emissions, strengthen resilience, and adapt to the impacts of climate change. As one of the greatest threats to global sustainability, climate change requires coordinated international efforts. Overall, this dimension advocates for a development path that respects planetary boundaries and ensures the regeneration of natural systems. It underlines the need for policies and practices that not only mitigate environmental harm but also promote restoration and resilience for future generations. Slide 8. Institutional dimension, governance for sustainability. The institutional dimension of sustainable development emphasizes the importance of effective governance as a cornerstone for achieving long-term sustainability. Grounded in SDG 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions, and SDG 17, partnerships for the goals, this dimension advocates for transparent, inclusive, and accountable institutions that uphold the rule of law, protect human rights, and ensure social equity. A fundamental principle of this dimension is justice, which calls for equal access to fair legal systems and inclusive decision-making processes across all levels of governance. Justice fosters trust in institutions and safeguards the rights of marginalized populations. Participation is equally vital, promoting inclusive representation and decision-making that reflects the needs of all people, particularly those often excluded from power structures. Inclusive participation strengthens the legitimacy and responsiveness of institutions. Transparency involves open access to information and accountable governance. Transparent institutions reduce corruption, build public trust, and encourage citizen engagement in policy and implementation processes. Global cooperation is another pillar, emphasizing the necessity for strong partnerships among countries, sectors, and stakeholders to address complex global challenges. Shared knowledge, resources, and expertise are essential to drive progress and ensure no nation is left behind. By promoting accountability, rule of law, effective regulations, and inclusive policymaking, the institutional dimension ensures that governance systems are resilient and adaptable. It lays the foundation for sustainable development by creating environments where communities can flourish, policies can be enforced equitably, and partnerships can deliver meaningful, lasting impact on a global scale. Slide 9. The cultural dimension, the fourth pillar. The cultural dimension of sustainable development, often regarded as the fourth pillar, is increasingly recognized for its vital role in shaping inclusive, resilient, and context-sensitive development strategies. Although not formally outlined as a standalone pillar in the official SDG framework, cultural sustainability is essential to achieving meaningful and lasting progress. At its core, the cultural dimension encompasses both tangible aspects, such as heritage sites and cultural landscapes, and intangible elements, including traditional knowledge, languages, artistic expressions, and practices. Heritage preservation is a fundamental component, ensuring that historical and cultural landmarks are safeguarded for future generations. This not only protects identity and memory but also fosters community pride and cohesion. Cultural diversity promotes intercultural dialogue, mutual respect, and understanding, especially in increasingly interconnected societies. Recognizing and celebrating diversity contributes to peace, social inclusion, and innovation by drawing on a wide range of cultural perspectives. Additionally, creative expression through the arts and cultural industries is vital for social and economic development. It stimulates creativity, supports livelihoods, and enhances the vibrancy of societies. Culture influences how communities perceive challenges, respond to change, and engage with development efforts. By embedding cultural considerations into sustainability planning, policies become more adaptable, locally relevant, and ethically grounded. In essence, the cultural dimension ensures that development respects and reflects the identities of diverse communities, encouraging shared ownership, inclusive participation, and the harmonious coexistence of traditions and progress. Slide 10. Interlinkages, the indivisible nature of SDGs. A defining characteristic of the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, is their indivisible and interconnected nature. Rather than existing as isolated objectives, the 17 SDGs form a dynamic, interdependent framework where progress in one goal often supports, or sometimes hinders, progress in another. Understanding these interlinkages is essential for effective policy and implementation. Research reveals that approximately 60% of SDG target interactions are synergistic, meaning that actions taken to advance one goal are likely to support others. For instance, climate action, 13 Sudanese pounds, may bolster marine ecosystem protection, 14 Sudanese pounds, through reduced ocean acidification and improved resilience. However, only 15% of interactions are potentially conflicting, indicating the need for careful management of trade-offs. A notable example is the tension between industrialization, 9 Sudanese pounds, and climate goals, where increased emissions from manufacturing may compromise climate targets unless mitigated by clean technologies. Additionally, some interactions are considered neutral or weakly correlated, requiring less immediate coordination but still warranting attention in long-term planning. This integrated approach demands that policymakers avoid siloed interventions and instead design strategies that recognize the synergies and trade-offs inherent in sustainable development. By leveraging complementary goals and minimizing conflicts, stakeholders can optimize outcomes across multiple dimensions: economic, social, environmental, institutional, and cultural. Ultimately, acknowledging the indivisibility of the SDGs reinforces the need for systems thinking, cross-sectoral collaboration, and coherent governance, ensuring that progress toward one goal does not come at the expense of another but rather contributes to collective global advancement. Slide 11. Measuring progress, indicators and monitoring. Accurate measurement and effective monitoring are pivotal to the success of the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. The Global Indicator Framework, established by the UN Statistical Commission, provides a standardized system comprising 232 unique indicators to assess progress across 169 targets. This framework enables global comparability while accommodating country-specific adaptations, ensuring that development achievements and gaps are reliably captured. However, translating this global framework into national realities requires robust national statistical capacity. Many developing countries encounter significant hurdles in collecting, managing, and reporting reliable SDG data due to limited financial, technical, or institutional resources. As such, strengthening national statistical systems is a critical component of SDG implementation, supported through international cooperation, technical assistance, and capacity-building initiatives. In parallel, the use of alternative data sources has emerged as a valuable complement to traditional statistics. Innovations such as citizen science, satellite imagery, mobile data, and big data analytics offer new pathways to monitor progress, particularly in data-scarce regions offer goals with complex indicators. These non-traditional approaches enrich data ecosystems and can help fill existing information gaps in real time, enhancing responsiveness and policy relevance. Ultimately, a combination of traditional and innovative monitoring systems is essential for tracking progress, identifying bottlenecks, and ensuring transparency and accountability. Instruments like the annual SDG Progress Report and voluntary national reviews, VNRs, offer crucial platforms for countries to share achievements, challenges, and lessons learned, fostering a collective, evidence-based journey towards sustainable development. Slide 12. Implementation challenges. Resources mobilization. Resource mobilization is a pivotal challenge in the global pursuit of the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. Despite strong international commitments, the estimated annual investment gap for developing countries alone amounts to $2.5 trillion, highlighting the immense financing shortfall that continues to hinder progress. Bridging this gap requires a blend of public, private, and innovative financing mechanisms, yet progress has been uneven and fragmented. Official development assistance, ODA, remains an important channel, with developed countries pledging 0.7% of their gross national income, GNI, as aid. However, persistent underachievement of this target severely constrains the fiscal space of developing economies, particularly those already burdened with debt. In contrast, private sector investment explicitly aligned with the SDGs currently stands at only $135 billion annually, underscoring the misalignment between global capital flows and sustainable development priorities. The 2015 Addis Ababa Action Agenda reaffirmed the necessity of mobilizing resources from diverse avenues: domestic taxation, public resources, international private finance, development cooperation, and trade. However, mobilization efforts face structural obstacles. Domestic resource mobilization is constrained by limited tax bases, weak institutional capacity, and illicit financial flows. On the international front, private finance is often risk-averse, favoring short-term returns over sustainable long-term investments. Furthermore, concessional aid flows remain inadequate to address the multidimensional development needs of vulnerable nations. To overcome these barriers, innovative financial mechanisms must play a transformative role. Instruments such as green bonds, impact investing, and blended finance have shown potential to attract private capital while reducing perceived investment risks. Equally crucial are policies that foster enabling environments for sustainable investment, strengthening governance, ensuring policy coherence, and aligning financial markets with sustainability imperatives. Yet, many developing countries continue to encounter exacerbated fiscal constraints, heightened by external shocks such as climate change, geopolitical volatility, and pandemics. Without significant reforms in global financing systems, the ambition of achieving the SDGs by 2030 will remain elusive. Effective resource mobilization, therefore, is not merely a financial concern but a matter of international solidarity, systemic reform, and the political will to align capital flows with human and planetary well-being. Slide 13. Implementation challenges. Policy coherence. Policy coherence is a critical component for the successful implementation of Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. It involves aligning and integrating policies across various levels and sectors of government to ensure that they work together towards common development objectives. However, achieving policy coherence presents several challenges. Horizontal coherence refers to aligning policies across different government departments. Fragmented governance structures often lead to isolated decision-making, which can hinder effective implementation of integrated policies. Vertical coherence, on the other hand, involves coordination between national, regional, and local governments. A lack of communication or misalignment between these levels can lead to inefficiencies in policy conflicts. External coherence is about ensuring that domestic policies do not contradict or undermine international sustainable development efforts. This requires countries to maintain consistency between national priorities and global commitments. Temporal coherence emphasizes the need to balance short-term policy priorities with long-term sustainable goals. Often, immediate political or economic pressures can overshadow long-term objectives, leading to policy inconsistency. To address these challenges, governments need to break down institutional silos and foster integrated governance mechanisms. This includes creating coordination bodies, enhancing interdepartmental communication, and building institutional capacities. Despite these efforts, many countries still face difficulties due to entrenched sectoral approaches, political competition, and insufficient institutional support. In conclusion, achieving policy coherence is essential but complex. It demands deliberate, well-coordinated strategies and robust institutional frameworks to align diverse policy areas with the overarching goals of sustainable development. Without it, progress towards the SDGs may be fragmented and ineffective. Slide 14. Multi-Stakeholder Partnership, Government Role. Governments play a pivotal role in advancing multi-stakeholder partnerships, MSPs, for the successful implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. As key duty bearers, governments are responsible for creating enabling environments, facilitating coordination, and ensuring transparency to engage diverse stakeholders including civil society, private sector, academia, and development partners. Political leadership is fundamental, as it reflects the government's high-level commitment to the SDGs. Integrating these goals into national development strategies and budget processes signals political will and drives institutional alignment. Coordination mechanisms are also essential, ensuring structured platforms for stakeholder engagement at national and subnational levels. These mechanisms foster collaboration and reduce policy fragmentation. Creating an enabling policy environment is another critical function of government. Through regulatory frameworks that promote sustainable practices and deter harmful actions across sectors, governments can guide stakeholder behavior in line with sustainable development priorities. Furthermore, data collection and reporting underpin transparency and accountability. By leading monitoring efforts, governments ensure informed decision-making and provide stakeholders with reliable information for evaluating progress. In addition to executive functions, effective governance involves parliamentary oversight and judicial protection of sustainability-related rights. Subnational governments, especially local authorities, are crucial in MSPs due to their proximity to communities and their ability to tailor services effectively. Slide 15. Multi-stakeholder partnerships, private sector engagement. The private sector plays a crucial role in advancing the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, through multi-stakeholder partnerships. Businesses can significantly impact sustainable development via their cooperations, value chains, and investments. Effective engagement requires aligning business objectives with broader social and environmental goals, fostering innovation, and collaborating across sectors. Core business alignment involves integrating sustainability into a company's products, services, and operations. By addressing environmental and social impacts across their value chains, companies can make sustainability a strategic priority rather than a peripheral activity. Innovative solutions from the private sector are vital for progress toward the SDGs. Businesses have the capacity to develop new technologies, business models, and products that not only generate profit but also directly contribute to solving global challenges. This dual focus on commercial value and SDG impact drives sustainable innovation. Collaborative action is another key aspect of private sector engagement. Companies can partner through industry initiatives, public-private collaborations, and multi-stakeholder platforms to tackle complex issues that go beyond the capabilities of any single actor. These partnerships foster shared responsibility and collective problem-solving. Despite increasing private sector involvement, challenges remain. Many businesses still focus on selective or low-impact goals, and there is a risk of superficial commitments or SDG washing. To overcome this, transparency, measurable targets, and strong accountability mechanisms are essential. Slide 16. Multi-stakeholder partnerships, civil society and academia. Civil society organizations, CSOs, and academic institutions are vital contributors to multi-stakeholder partnerships aimed at achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. Their involvement ensures that development efforts are inclusive, evidence-based, and responsive to community needs. Civil society organizations play diverse roles in the SDG ecosystem. They often fill critical service gaps, particularly in governance and capacity building. CSOs advocate for the needs of marginalized populations, promote accountability, and monitor the implementation of development initiatives. They also act as connectors, facilitating citizen engagement and amplifying community voices in policy processes. By bridging the gap between local realities and global goals, CSOs enhance the relevance and impact of SDG-related actions. Academic institutions contribute by generating knowledge and evidence essential for informed policymaking. Through rigorous research, universities support the development of solutions to sustainability challenges. They also play a crucial role in preparing the next generation of sustainability leaders through education and training. Academic institutions offer technical expertise in sustainable development and foster innovation through interdisciplinary approaches. Platforms like the Sustainable Development Solutions Network, SDSN, further enhance collaboration among researchers and practitioners globally. Together, civil society and academia help ensure that SDG implementation is grounded in local realities and scientific evidence. Their roles in advocacy, research, capacity building, and innovation are indispensable for developing practical and sustainable solutions. By engaging these stakeholders, governments and the private sector can build inclusive and effective partnerships that drive transformative change towards sustainable development. Slide 17. SDGs in national context. Localization processes. Localization of the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, involves adapting global goals to local contexts to ensure effective and inclusive implementation. This process recognizes that national progress depends significantly on actions taken at subnational, urban, and community levels. Subnational implementation focuses on integrating the SDGs into regional and local development plans. Local governments play a key role by aligning the goals with local priorities, resources, and capacities. This approach ensures that strategies are tailored to the unique needs and challenges of specific regions, thereby increasing the relevance and effectiveness of interventions. Urban SDG implementation is especially critical, as cities are central to achieving many of the SDGs. With a growing global urban population, cities face complex challenges such as housing, transportation, pollution, and inequality. Local authorities, particularly in 11 Sudanese pounds, sustainable cities and communities, are instrumental in driving urban development aligned with sustainability objectives. Community-led development emphasizes bottom-up approaches. By actively involving communities in planning and implementation, this model fosters ownership, inclusion, and resilience. Community participation enables local innovation, strengthens accountability, and ensures that solutions reflect grassroots needs. Effective localization requires vertical integration across governance levels and horizontal coordination among sectors. It also involves engaging stakeholders, including civil society, academia, and the private sector. Countries like Costa Rica and Finland exemplify successful localization through national SDG councils and inclusive governance models. In conclusion, localization is essential for achieving the SDGs. It ensures that development efforts are responsive, participatory, and sustainable at every level of society. Slide 18. SDGs in the COVID-19 context. The COVID-19 pandemic significantly disrupted the global momentum toward achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. Years of progress in poverty reduction, healthcare, and education were reversed, revealing deep structural vulnerabilities in social and economic systems. According to the World Bank, the pandemic pushed an additional 93 million people into extreme poverty in 2020, marking the first global rise in poverty since 1998. The pandemic's impact extended far beyond health, exacerbating existing inequalities and disproportionately affecting the most vulnerable populations. Disruptions in education systems, reduced access to healthcare, and economic instability deepened challenges to achieving goals related to well-being, education, gender equality, and decent work. Despite these setbacks, the crisis also highlighted the importance and relevance of the SDG framework. Countries that had invested in inclusive health systems, social protection, and sustainable development strategies demonstrated greater resilience. These investments served as buffers, helping communities manage the pandemic's shocks more effectively. Moreover, the recovery phase offers a unique opportunity to rebuild better. Embracing the SDGs as a roadmap for post-pandemic recovery can lead to more inclusive, equitable, and sustainable societies. Recovery policies aligned with the SDGs can foster green jobs, strengthen healthcare systems, promote quality education, and build economic resilience. In conclusion, while the COVID-19 pandemic posed severe challenges to SDG progress, it also underscored the need for robust, inclusive, and sustainable development models. Strengthening commitments to the SDGs will be vital in not only recovering from the crisis but also in building a more resilient and equitable future. Slide 19. Future Prospects, 2030 and Beyond. As 2030 approaches, current assessments suggest that most Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, are unlikely to be fully achieved at the present pace. Progress varies widely across different goals and dimensions: social, economic, environmental, and institutional. While SDG 4, Quality Education, shows relatively good progress, many others are experiencing mixed results or even regression. In the social dimension, mixed progress is noted in SDG 1, No Poverty, and SDG 5, Gender Equality, while SDG 2, Zero Hunger, and SDG 10, Reduced Inequalities, are regressing. The economic dimension shows no goals fully on track, with SDG 8, Decent Work, and SDG 9, Industry and Infrastructure, exhibiting uneven progress. Environmental goals such as SDG 6, Clean Water, and SDG 7, Affordable Energy, are advancing moderately, whereas SDG 13, Climate Action, SDG 14, Life Below Water, and SDG 15, Life on Land, are regressing, raising serious concerns. On the institutional front, no goals are firmly on track, and SDG 17, Partnerships for the Goals, shows mixed progress, while SDG 16, Peace, Justice, and Strong Institutions, is facing setbacks. The UN Secretary-General has declared a Decade of Action, 2020 to 2030, to accelerate sustainable solutions to global challenges, particularly poverty, climate change, and inequality. Looking beyond 2030, the global agenda must integrate lessons from current trends while addressing emerging challenges. These include technological disruptions like artificial intelligence, aging populations, and complex environmental crises. Strategic foresight and renewed global commitment are essential to steer sustainable development into the future. Slide 20. Conclusion. A call to action. Achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, requires urgent, coordinated, and transformative action. As the 2030 deadline approaches, a clear call to action emerges, centered on 4 key priorities that can reinvigorate global progress. First, we must embrace systemic transformation. Incremental changes are no longer sufficient to address the deep-rooted causes of unsustainability. A comprehensive shift is needed through systems thinking and the restructuring of economic, social, and governance models. This approach addresses the root causes rather than symptoms of global challenges. Second, we must leave no one behind. The SDGs' core promise is to prioritize the needs of the most vulnerable. Addressing structural inequalities and removing barriers to inclusion is essential for equitable development. Ensuring that no population is marginalized is central to realizing the vision of a just and sustainable world. Third, we need to strengthen accountability. Robust monitoring systems and clear accountability frameworks at local, national, and global levels are crucial. These mechanisms will help track progress, identify gaps, and ensure that commitments are translated into action. Fourth, we must mobilize innovation. Harnessing technological advances and social innovations can accelerate progress and offer novel pathways toward sustainability. Encouraging innovation across sectors can lead to scalable and impactful solutions. Despite ongoing global crises and implementation gaps, the SDGs continue to provide a powerful roadmap. Success depends on political will, inclusive governance, resource mobilization, and multi-stakeholder collaboration. By embracing an integrated approach and working across boundaries, the world can still make meaningful strides toward a sustainable future. This concludes our presentation. We now transition to a new topic for the subject, the Sustainable Development Goals, a global vision for our future. Kindly remain engaged with our channel until next week, and feel free to like and share this content among like-minded professionals. Until then, I wish you a life filled with happiness and prosperity.